Jesus M says, how would you grade the Dog Bay versus Joet Gonzalez card? I haven't had a long look at it, but what I will say is this. On this card this weekend, we have one of the most talented young American prospects on this card. We've got Cleveland, Ohio's very own Abdullah Mason. And listen, I'm very familiar with Abdullah Mason. I actually talked to him and his brother Amir on FaceTime yesterday because we talk every now and then because me and Amir Mason are good friends. And sometimes when I call Amir, he puts Abdullah on the phone, and me and Abdullah talk for a couple minutes. Just friendly talk. Just how you doing? How's camp? Good luck on your fight. Stuff like that. Are you gonna come to the fight? Stuff like that. What I can say about Abdullah Mason, very talented fighter. Just one of the most humble young kids I've ever met in boxing. Very talented. I think he's very underrated. I'm gonna tell you why. I'm going to tell you guys why I think Abdullah Mason is very underrated. This is a guy in Abdullah Mason. He only had 80 amateur fights. He didn't have the 300 or 400 or 500 that some of these guys have. He didn't have that extensive of an amateur career, but he made some noise in the amateurs, enough noise to capture the attention of a James Prince. Okay? And Top Rank signed him, and Bob Arum is very high on him. He's 18 years old. His ceiling is very high. He sparred with guys like Shakur Stevenson and Jamel Herring. I've heard he's done very well in those sparring sessions. I know it's sparring. You can't judge everything off sparring. But if these guys are bringing an 18-year-old for work, and they're not bringing him in because he's not holding his own or not giving them good work in return. Very long, very rangy, good, just very, very, very great understanding of distance. Has great ability to throw short punches in close quarters. And just the composure he has. He's very even-keeled, very level-headed. Him and his brothers are they're Muslims, so I respect to them. I respect everybody's, beliefs. And they're very disciplined people. You don't really hear them cursing. You're not going to really hear about Abdullah Mason because he says crazy things in the media. So it may take people some time to catch on to Abdullah Mason. But I'm going to tell you guys this, and I'm going to tell you guys right now. This kid will be a world champion. This kid will be one of the top fighters in the Top Rank stable. I know Top Rank has guys like Bruce Carrington. I know they got guys like Xander Zayas, and those guys are talented fighters. I like Bruce Carrington. I like Xander Zayas, especially Xander, because Xander Zayas is one of South Florida's very own. So you guys know I'm going to rep South Florida till the casket drops. But I'm telling you, Abdullah Mason, this kid has it. This kid has all the ingredients to be a world champion. I think he'll be a world champion. He's 18 right now, so he hasn't developed his man strength yet. But one thing that I like about him is that he's very good at putting his punches together. He is able to just really put them together in a great way. And I think with him, he's going to be one of these guys that as he matures, he will grow into a full-fledged, strong, solid 140-pounder. I think he'll even be big enough to be a 147-pounder because he's 18 years old right now and he's 5'9". If he grows an inch or two more, he'll be 5'10", 5'11". So we're looking at maybe potentially 5'10", 5'11" welterweight 3 to 4 years from now. A guy that will have all the measurables, all the talent, all the experience. And not just that, he also has the one thing that you need in boxing because, as I've stated many times, you could be the best fighter in the world. But if you don't have the right people behind you, if you don't have the backing of influential and powerful people behind you, it's hard to really maneuver in this sport. I know so many fighters that get screwed over before they even get a chance to really develop because they just don't have the right people behind them, good people behind them that know what they're doing with their careers. And luckily for him, he's been afforded the opportunity and the luxury of having James Prince by his side. And on top of that, he's got 4 other brothers. He's got one in Amir who's pro. And then the other 3, I believe, are amateurs. So they're all learning off each other. They're all very talented. Amir Mason is more of a power puncher. Abdullah is more of a boxer who's developing into his man strength, who I think will be the most well-rounded of the Masons I've seen so far. But if you guys don't watch no other fight on this card this weekend, please watch Abdullah Mason because Abdullah Mason will be a world champion. He might even be a potential multi-divisional world champion. And if he really, really puts it together, all right, if he really, really puts it all together, he might even be, I'm talking like 4 years from now, he might even be the welterweight champion of the world. You heard it here first. Abdullah Mason might fuck around and be the welterweight champion of the world in the year 2026. I know that's a lot of expectation. I don't want to hype this kid up too much because He's young and he only has 2 fights in his career. We don't know what happened before he even gets to the contender status, let alone the championship level. But I've been around boxing a good amount of time. I've seen prospects get knocked the fuck out and exposed. I don't really say this about a lot of prospects, but what I look for in a young fighter is it's a combination of things. It's first and foremost work ethic. Do you go to the gym? Do you go to the gym consistently? Are you disciplined? Do you have the willpower and the discipline to abstain from, binge eating, to not messing with all these girls that are going to be throwing that ass at you? Do you have these things? Do you have discipline? Do you have the conditioning? Do you love boxing? Did you put in, enough work in the amateurs to give you a good foundation going in? Are you a cocky fighter, or are you a fighter who has his feet on the ground and is teachable? He strikes me as someone who is teachable. Are you getting the proper sparring? You look at all these things and you evaluate someone's character. And I've been afforded the honor of knowing Abdullah Mason on a very minor level. I think he will be a world champion, and I think he has 2 to 3 division championship type potential, and that's a lot. That's a huge standard to live up to. But I say these things about him because I think highly of him, and I'm hoping that in 2 years, when he's 20 years old or 21 years old, I can apply the Jermaine Taylor standard for young fighters to him, and I can say, you know what, Abdullah Mason is meeting the Jermaine Taylor young standard for fighters, and he's even shattering it. I want to say about him what I say about Devin Haney, so hopefully Abdullah Mason don't let me down. But yeah, he's fine this week. But you know what? That was a very long-winded answer. I spent a good amount of time researching Abdullah Mason today, so I wanted to talk about him a little bit. But